right, we're starting to see some more bells and whistles of these methods. Now, one of the things that you can do with methods is you can actually call two methods by the same name. And you're sitting there going, that seems like a horrible idea. But it's actually not. One of the reasons that it's a good idea is a lot of times you have multiple methods that are basically doing the same thing. So it makes sense for them to have the same name, but they act just a little bit different depending on the parameters. So the method name will be the same, but the parameters have to be different. Okay, they have to have a distinct signature. Now, let's explain what the signature is. So remember, this was our big ol' heading, okay? But this part here is the part that we're actually going to use when we call the method. So for it to be for us to be able to overload the method, even though the method name is going to be the same, the rest of the signature has to be different. This part here, this part here is called the signature. So the parameters have to be different. Now, I have to be careful when I say this because, for example, these two right here could not exist together. And you might say, well, they're different signatures. This one says double A, double B. This one says double B, double A. It doesn't matter what I call these doubles. Whenever I call the method, I'm putting in a double and a double. And Java says, I don't know which one to pick because it's not a distinct signature. Okay, if I call sum 3.7, 6.24, it doesn't know if I want this double double or this double double. But these can actually all coexist at the same time. So sum double A, double B. So this method, out of all of these, the only one that's got a double and a double is this one. The only one that has two ints is this one. Now these may look like they wouldn't work, but it's got different order. So if I put an int and then a double, it's going to pick this first one. If I put a double and an int, it picks the second one. Not that you would necessarily need that, but those are technically distinct. I could add two strings together. I could add three ints because that's a distinct signature from putting two ints. So if I put three ints, it's going to know that I want this. But the cool thing is they all could essentially do the same thing, which is add together, without the user having to know that we're doing slightly different things behind the scenes. Okay, so that's what we mean by overloading methods. Here's an example down here. So we've got greet, which has no parameters, that just says hello. We have greet that accepts an integer parameter that prints a certain number of times. We have greet that accepts a string parameter that greets a specific person. Okay, but these all have distinctive signatures, so they all work just a little different. Okay, so we've got hello, hello Dolly, and then greeting three times. Now, if we did another greet that also had no parameters, that would interfere with this first one, because if we call greet with no parameters, we don't know whether we're calling this one on the top or this one on the bottom. Okay. Something else I want to point out is a lot of times when you have an overloaded method, you'll use a different version of the method. So, for example, I could write this as greet1, because I've already established kind of what a greeting is, and all this is saying is, well, if I call just greet, then I want you to do the one that says however many times, but just do it once. Or alternatively, we could say, hey, that many times, I want you to call our basic greet. Okay, so that can save you some code and keep you from having to kind of rewrite the same thing multiple times. It's not a big deal on a small method like this, but once you start getting big, nasty methods, you might want to call that code. One of the rules in programming is you really don't want to solve the same problem twice. You're really wasting time, and you're probably making your code less readable in the process. So that's method overloading.